segment. Hello, you non-live viewers out here on regular YouTube. We are covering the Biden strikes on Syria. So, what happened? What happened with these Syrian missile strikes? Let's read. President Joe Biden said Friday that Iran should view his decision to authorize U.S. airstrikes in Syria as a warning that it can expect consequences for its support of militia groups that threaten U.S. interests or personnel. You can't act with impunity. Be careful, Biden said when a reporter asked what message he had intended to send with these airstrikes, which the Pentagon said destroyed several buildings in eastern Syria but were not intended to eradicate the militia groups that used them to facilitate attacks inside Iraq. Administration officials defended the Thursday night airstrikes as legal and appropriate, saying they took out facilities that housed valuable capabilities used by Iranian-backed militia groups to attack American and allied forces in Iraq. John Kirby, the Pentagon's chief spokesperson, said members of Congress were notified before the strikes as two Air Force F-15E aircraft launched 7 missiles, destroying 9 facilities and heavily damaging 2 others, rendering both functionally destroyed. He said the facilities at entry control points on the border had been used by militia groups the U.S. deems responsible for recent attacks against U.S. interests in Iraq. In a political twist for the new Democratic administration, several leading Congress members in Biden's own party denounced the strikes, which were the first military actions he authorized. Democrats said the airstrikes were done without authorization from lawmakers, while Republicans were more supportive. I wonder why. Offensive military action without congressional approval is not constitutional absent extraordinary circumstances, said Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat, Virginia, I think. I don't know what the VA stands for. And Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat, don't know what the con stands for, said lawmakers must hold the current administration to the same standard as any other retaliatory strikes not necessary to prevent an imminent threat, he said. Must get congressional authorization. So this wasn't really authorized, so it's kind of illegal, kind of a war crime, just saying. War was not declared. If you're gonna do an offensive thing like this, war has to be declared, and then you can do that. Otherwise, it's kind of like a war crime. So Biden out here committing war crimes. And I've said this on Twitter, war crimes are not okay. They're only okay when I do it in Call of Duty, because I'm a gamer. Anyways. Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, the ranking Republican of the Senate Armed Services Committee, backed the decision as the correct proportionate response to protect American lives. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters Friday that Biden used his constitutional authority to defend U.S. personnel. Okay. I don't think that these people were planning an attack on, American soil. But if we Americans were over in their area, and we've been there for quite some time, that is the only way they could really attack us, if we're there, because I highly doubt that they're trying to attack people on American soil. So they're attacking the Americans that are there, to my understanding, and I think that the solution is to just not be there. I saw a thumbnail, or a little bit of this Hassan video where he's watching how many how many American bases are like all over the world, like where America is, and they're like everywhere. And yeah, I think it's kind of problematic. The targets were chosen to correspond to the recent attacks on facilities and to deter the risk of additional attacks over the coming weeks, she said. Among the recent attacks cited was February 15th rocket attack in northern Iraq that killed one civilian contractor and wounded a U.S. service member and other coalition troops. At the Pentagon, Kirby said that the operation was a defensive strike on a way station used by militants to move weapons and materials for attacks into Iraq. But he noted that while it sent a message of deterrence and eroded their ability to strike from that compound, the militias have other sites and capabilities. He said the strikes resulted in casualties, but declined to provide further detail into how many were killed or injured and what was inside the buildings pending the completion of a broader assessment of damage inflicted. Okay, so as far as this goes, to my knowledge, I think it was a total of 22 casualties. An Iraqi military official said Friday that the strikes killed one fighter and wounded several others. Kirby said that the facilities were near Bokumal on the Syrian side of the Iraq border along the Euphrates River. This location is known to facilitate Iranian-aligned militia group activity, he said. He described the site as a compound that previously had been used by the Islamic State group when it held sway in the area. The Iraqi militia official told the Associated Press that the strikes against the, I'm going to butcher this, Kataib Hezbollah or Hezbollah brigades hit an area along the border between the Syrian site of, I cannot say this, Bokumal, I think that's how you say it, Bokumal, facing the Qim, I think that's, I am so bad at pronouncing foreign names, please forgive me. Qim on the Iraqi side, the official was not authorized to speak publicly of the attack and spoke on condition of anonymity. Speaking to reporters Thursday evening, shortly after the airstrikes were carried out, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said, "I'm confident in the target that we were after. We know what we hit." Biden's decision to attack Syria did not appear to signal an intention to widen U.S. military involvement in the region, but rather to demonstrate a will to defend U.S. troops in Iraq. So this was more of a message saying that, don't mess with us, and we're here to defend our troops in Iraq and send a message to Iran. You won't have to defend your troops in Iraq if they're not there. I think that's a really good idea. You won't have to defend them if they're not there. So just bring them back. And then if they have to be somewhere, then you can send them there. But they don't have to be here if nothing's really going on. I don't know. The Biden administration in its first weeks has emphasized its intent to put more focus on the challenges posed by China, even as Mideast threats persist. The U.S. has previously targeted facilities in Syria belonging to Kataib Hezbollah, which it has blamed for numerous attacks targeting U.S. personnel and interests in Iraq. The Iraqi Kataib is separate from the Lebanese Hezbollah movement. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a Britain-based group that monitors the war in Syria, said the strikes targeted a shipment of weapons that were being taken by trucks entering Syrian territories from Iraq. The group said 22 fighters from the Popular Mobilization Forces, an Iraqi umbrella group of mostly Shiite farm paramilitaries that includes Kataib Hezbollah, that were killed. The report could not be independently verified. In a statement, the group confirmed one of its fighters was killed and said it reserved the right to retaliate without elaborating. Kataib Hezbollah, like other Iranian-backed factions, maintains fighters in Syria to both fight against the Islamic State group and to assist Syrian President Bashar Assad forces in that country's civil war. There's a bigger reason as to why I wanted to talk about this, and I also wanted to show Kyle's video. He understands the situation a bit better than I do, and I want to talk a little bit about it.
The way that they play with language, the way that they flip the standard is totally unacceptable.
Why is this over here?
I have an update for you on Biden's Syria bombing. At least 22 people were killed after President Biden orders first military strike. The attack was carried out on Iranian-backed militias. Now, they claim, they meaning the U.S. government and the Biden administration, they say, listen, we're just getting them back for what they did to us. Because they were attacking us in Iraq, and so we had to do this.
Yeah, so Kyle says that, which the article did say that, like, it was kind of to get them back. So, he's confirming that this all happened in Iraq. The thing is that, like, why did we have to be there in the first place? And Kyle does bring up this point.
I have an idea. The best way to not get attacked in Iraq is to not be in Iraq.
Yeah.
If you want to protect our troops and our people in Iraq, get out of there. None of our people can die if we're not there. So, I mean, I just find it obnoxious, this argument of like, it's ridiculous that we're getting attacked in the country that we've been illegally occupying for nearly 2 decades. Maybe it's a little bit of a problem that you're illegally occupying a country for almost 2 decades. Maybe that's a problem in and of itself.
So Kyle says that we've been illegally occupying Iraq for 2 decades. Honestly, not sure about that. Okay, so this article says that it's illegal occupation. Interesting. Personally, I believe that a country's troops should not be anywhere but their own country. But I don't know, that's just me. You don't go places unless there's a war.
Maybe you're violating U.S. law and international law on that front, and you need to pull out. And if you do pull out, you won't get attacked, and then you wouldn't do a retaliatory strike. So, I mean, that's the solution. Let's not kid ourselves. You can't say we were attacked and, oh my god, now we have to respond. So, beyond that, I already discussed this theory with you guys, but I'll float it again. Aaron Mott.
And then he talks about this theory where it's like they're actually doing something to... Let me just show you.
You had the release of the Saudi Arabia report that showed that MBS was responsible for the killing of Khashoggi. That pissed off Saudi Arabia. This move from the Biden administration might be a mea culpa, might be a sort of apology to say, hey, my bad on releasing that report. I'm still your boy. Here, I'll do what you want me to do, which is bomb Shia militias in Syria. So I think that that's a plausible theory. That might actually be what's going on in your mind.
So I don't really know what he's talking about here, and I have no idea if, like... I don't know what he's basing this off of. So, I mean, that's like a thing he says.
Back as we released this report, it made them look bad. Can't have that. So let's show them we're still boys with them. Saudi Arabia is still ride or die. And, okay, we're going to kill...
But it's interesting because, like, if I wanted to look further into this, I could. Like, that's a thing that I could look further into. Now, there's that. What I wanted to bring this up for was that, like, I think that objectively, the best thing to do is to just get out. Like, I just think that would cause, or that would, like, alleviate and ensure that we get the least amount of problems from this situation. I think the more we stay in, the worse it gets, honestly. I think we should just leave. And I think that's the solution. And so, for Biden to go against this solution is a bad thing. And I don't like it when anyone does bad things, whether it's Trump or Biden or whoever the fuck, Ben Shapiro. Like, bad things, I don't like them. All right? Now, the biggest issue with this is that there are a bunch of liberals who, like, defend Biden's war crimes and shit. Like, no, it's bad. It doesn't matter if the blue Democrat guy does it. No, it's just bad. Because I've seen this. I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, look at Biden defending our country." Like, it's bad when Trump does it. It's good when Biden does it. I hate this fucking double standard. Not about it, right? As a leftist, I do not like intervention that much. And I just think that the appropriate response is to just leave. Just leave Iran and Syria and just like the Middle East. Like, just get out. Provide. If they need help with things, like, I guess help them, give them resources like food and stuff, but don't fuel the war. And these neoliberals, they love their war crime. We had that same problem with Obama. Back during the Obama administrations, Biden and Obama together were kind of obsessed with drone strikes. You could look this up. They were super into drone strikes, and they killed lots of civilians. And I don't know what it is with these neoliberal types and being so into like they're honestly pretty war hawkish, but they don't like show it as much as Republicans do. So yeah, Biden's not ideal. This is an example of Biden not being ideal. We need to call him out. We need to be able to identify this. And that was what I mainly wanted to get at with this video. So, there's some information, there's some things for you to think about, and the broader implications would be, as people who are progressive, we should be critical of the neoliberals that we currently have in power.